welcome to the Mega Lucario EX deck guide, written by Natalie Miller, narrated by yours truly. Let's get into it. The door is opened for fighting type decks to have their day. Once Gardevoir EX rotates out of the format, Mega Lucario EX has always felt like it's on the precipice of the format, but without Gardevoir EX to stop it, I would expect the Aura Pokemon to see a lot more play. Here's the deck list that Natalie put together. I'm not going to read through every single one, but obviously you've got 3 Riolu, 3 Mega Lucario, Solrock and Lunatone, Makihita and Hariyama, and 1 Meowth EX from Nil Zero, or in English it's going to be out of perfect order. Trainers, we got 4 Lily's Determination, 4 Fighting Gong, 4 Premium Power Pro, as well as a plethora of other useful trainer cards. And energies, you're going to go with 9 basic fighting energy and 3 stone fighting energy. This deck appears to be the premier aggressive deck in the post-rotation format. Mega Lucario EX has amazing stats on its own, with 340 hit points, a 1 energy attack for 130 that powers up your other Pokemon, and a 2 energy attack for 270. You can boost this damage with Premium Power Pro to take a 1-hit knockout on almost any turn of the game, outputting a ton of early pressure. This deck also takes massive advantage of the Solrock and Lunatone engine that we've seen in Goldengo EX this season, which allows you to play off an entirely single prize board when your opponent is trying to do the same thing. Hariyama gives you extra gusts throughout the game with its Heave-Ho Catcher ability, and you can even use Aura Jab to power up its Wild Press attack. Hariyama also allows you to potentially trade up against decks that are trying to use Lily's Clefairy against you, while also letting you pick off whatever you want on your opponent's bench. I choose to include Maximum Belt to increase our damage output as the ace spec in this deck. We already have Premium Power Pro to increase damage output, but against big Pokemon that aren't weak to fighting, such as Dragapult EX, Cynthia's Garchomp EX, or our Boliva, all over 300 hit points. There's also a copy of Gravity Mountain in here to assist with this, but Maximum Belt acts as 2 damage modifiers in only 1 card. A lot of other ace specs end up being redundant. You already have a ton of gusts, so you don't need Prime Catcher. You already have Disruption and are usually pulling ahead, so you don't need the Unfair Stamp. You could see a Hero's Cape or Scoop Up Cyclone as options if you're trying to take advantage of the massive HP boost from the Hero's Cape, or you can even use Scoop Up Cyclone to reset Hariyama and reuse its ability for additional gusts throughout the game. The supporter engine of this deck is mostly limited by the supporters available in the format. Despite being an aggressive deck that takes prizes quickly, we still have 4 copies of Lily's Determination. The selection of draw supporters in this format is quite poor. Even if we don't get to use it for the full 8 cards, Shuffle and Draw 6 is still good enough in the middle of the game. Carmen has been very useful. Part of the reason why we're opting first into every matchup with this deck, but drawing 5 cards is just not a lot. Similar to Judge, the Disruption is solid, but you aren't getting many combos set up by just drawing 4 cards. We do have Meowth EX to grab any supporter anytime, which increases our consistency a lot and can deny opposing knockouts with Wally's Compassion. I chose not to include Pheasantipity EX in this deck because of the liability in play. While Meowth has the same problem, we can use the Meowth aggressively to get us out of a dead hand, while Pheasantipity has to be used reactively. Right, you need your Pokemon to be knocked out prior to using that ability. We're also incentivized to bench the Pheasantipity early and leave it in play for as long as possible, while we can wait and hold Meowth to deny the liability for as long as possible, right? If you get the supporters you need, you don't have to play the Meowth. Whereas if you want to take advantage of Pheasantipity, you kind of have to get it in play so that it's there for when you take the knockout. I choose to play an uneven split of Solrock and Lunatone because we're using Solrock's Cosmic Beam as a bridging attack in a ton of games. The Solrock is far more, because of that, the Solrock is far more likely to get knocked out than Lunatone. And since prizing a Solrock is so punishing, I chose to include the third copy. That's interesting. I was wondering about that. Finally, I also chose to include 3 copies of the Stone Fighting Energy, which is going to be reprinted in perfect order in this deck to answer Alakazam from Mega Evolution. Alakazam is not the most serious deck in the current format due to having a terrible Gardevoir EX matchup, but with the obvious rotation of Gardevoir and Iono, the deck becomes a lot more scary. It can use Genesect from Shrouded Fable to shut off opposing unfair stamps and easily build up a massive hand with Dudunsparce enriching energy in the Alakazam line itself. While you do have 2 copies of Judge, the matchup is still relatively difficult because you don't have much time before they stock up a massive hand and outrace you with huge, powerful hands. However, the fact that powerful hands takes knockouts with an effect and not damage itself is a nice bonus for us, since we can negate it entirely with the Stone Fighting Energy. Alakazam usually does play some copies of Enhanced Hammer to deal with Mist Energy, but the combination of Judge, pivoting to a single prize board, and Stone Fighting Energy makes the matchup very doable. You also get some bonuses from Stone Fighting Energy as you can prevent the residual damage from Phantom Dive and opposing terminal periods. Stone Fighting Energy also prevents you from being retreat locked by Yveltal's Clutch, but you also have 2 copies of Switch to assist with that also. Mega Lucario EX looks like it's going to be one of the stronger decks in the post-rotation format. There are more options than just this list, but with different A-spec choices, potentially playing No Meowth and Team Rocket's Watchtower, there's a ton of ways you can go. Be prepared to play against this deck at tournaments once rotation starts, and good luck on your own games. Yeah, thanks to Natalie for the article. Check it out on TCG Player. Super well written. Check out the deck list. And this is definitely one of those decks that I think is going to be good, really, really good come rotation. I'm excited to build the physical thing and have it to play with over the next year. If you're still watching, I appreciate you. Thank you, and have a great day. We will see you next time.